ransom note, a missing girl, and a discovery so gruesome it shook the entire nation. When police finally uncovered the truth, what they found was beyond anyone's worst nightmares. Who took Marion Parker? Why was she targeted? And what kind of monster could commit such a horrifying crime? Today, we unravel the chilling story of the Butterfly in the Rain murder, the kidnapping. On December 15, 1927, 12-year-old Marion Parker was at her school, Mount Vernon Junior High in Los Angeles. That day, a man came to the school office and told the staff he worked at a bank where her father, Perry Parker, was employed. He said Perry had been in a bad car accident and wanted to see his daughter right away. Believing his story, the school's registrar, Mary Holt, let Marion leave with the man. But he didn't know Marion had a twin sister, Marjorie. If he had, he might have taken both. Later, Holt said the man seemed so sincere that she never doubted his words. But soon, everyone realized the truth. Marion had been kidnapped. The ransom demands. The day after Marion was taken, on December 16th, her family started receiving ransom letters. The kidnapper sent messages through telegrams demanding $1,500 in gold certificates, an amount that would be worth around $27,000 today. The kidnapper signed the messages with chilling names like Fate, Death, and the Fox. The first telegram came from Pasadena and warned the Parkers, "Do absolutely nothing until you get a special letter." Shockingly, the message had what looked like Marion's signature on it. A second telegram arrived soon after, this time from Alhambra. It said, "Marion is safe. Be smart. If you interfere with my plans, it will be dangerous." This message was signed by George Fox. At this point, the Parker family knew they were dealing with someone serious and ruthless. In one of the next telegrams, the kidnapper sent a terrifying message. "No one will ever see the girl again, except the angels in heaven." This letter was signed Fate, and at the top there was a Greek word thanatos, which means death. Through these messages, the kidnapper arranged a meeting spot for Marion's father, Perry, to deliver the ransom late at night on December 16, 1927. Perry carefully recorded the serial numbers on each bill before leaving, hoping the police could track the kidnapper later. But when Perry arrived at the location, the exchange didn't happen. The kidnapper must have noticed that the police were secretly following Perry. He never showed up, leaving Perry waiting alone for hours. The first attempt to bring Marion home had failed. The final warning. On December 17, 1927, the Parker family kept receiving telegrams from the kidnapper. The first one was full of anger. It blamed Perry for letting the police get involved and for all the news coverage about Marion's kidnapping. Then, the kidnapper warned that this was Marion's last day. If the ransom wasn't paid, he would kill her. Attached to the telegram was a heartbreaking letter, written in Marion's handwriting. In it, she begged her father to do exactly what the kidnapper wanted and to keep the police away. Fearing for his daughter's life, Perry consulted with the authorities. They made a tough decision. Perry would go alone to meet the kidnapper with no police following. It was his only chance to save Marion. The final threats. On the afternoon of December 17, 1927, two more terrifying telegrams arrived at the Parker home. The first, signed Fox Fate, warned Perry, "Please come to your senses. I want your money more than I want to kill your child. But you're leaving me no choice." The second message, signed just Fate, was even more chilling. "Fox is my name. Very sly, you know. Don't try to set traps, you'll see them. Get this straight, a life hangs by a thread. I have a razor ready and know exactly what to do." The final meeting. That evening, the kidnapper started calling Perry at home. He gave him new instructions on where to bring the ransom. The meeting place was the corner of West 5th Street and South Manhattan Place in Los Angeles. At exactly 7:15 p.m., the phone rang again, the kidnapper told Perry to leave right away, saying he would recognize Perry's car. This was Perry's last chance to save his daughter. The tragic exchange. At around 8 p.m., Perry Parker arrived at the meeting spot, alone, carrying the ransom money. Moments later, a car pulled up beside him, a Chrysler coupe. Inside was the kidnapper, his face mostly covered with a bandana. He pointed a sawed-off shotgun at Perry, making it clear that this was a dangerous situation. Perry's heart raced as he spotted Marion in the passenger seat. She was sitting upright, covered up to her neck with clothing, but something was wrong and she wasn't moving. When Perry desperately called out to her, she didn't respond. Her eyes were open but lifeless. Perry assumed she had been drugged. The moment Perry handed over the money, the kidnapper wasted no time. He pushed the car into motion and, in one horrifying act, shoved Marion's body onto the street before speeding away. Some reports say the kidnapper even said, "There's your daughter," before throwing her lifeless body out of the car. A horrifying discovery. The moment Perry realized his daughter was gone forever, he called the police. Marion's body was quickly recovered from the street, and by 9 p.m., an autopsy was performed. The results were beyond horrifying. The coroner determined that Marion had been dead for about 12 hours before Perry even saw her. But the worst part? The kidnapper had cut off her arms and legs and removed her organs. To make it look like she was still alive, he had stuffed a towel and a man's shirt into her lower body. Even more disturbingly, he had wired her eyes open with piano strings to fool Perry during the ransom exchange. The horror didn't end there. The next morning, December 18, 1927, a man walking through Elysian Park made a gruesome discovery of severed arms and legs wrapped in newspaper, scattered on the street. When police arrived, they confirmed the unthinkable. The limbs belonged to Marion Parker. The massive manhunt. Right after Marion's murder, one of the biggest manhunts in history began. On December 17, 1927, more than 20,000 police officers and volunteers from the American Legion searched non-stop for the killer. Authorities were desperate to catch him. They first offered a $50,000 reward for his capture, dead or alive. Later, the reward was doubled to $100,000, which would be worth over $1.8 million today. Identifying the suspect. Investigators got their first big clue from an unexpected source: a towel found stuffed inside Marion's body. A laundry mark on the towel led police to the Bellevue Arms apartments in Los Angeles. On December 20, 1927, they made a breakthrough. Fingerprints from the getaway car matched William Edward Hickman. He wasn't a stranger. He was actually a former co-worker of Perry Parker. Both men had worked at the First National Bank of Los Angeles, Perry as an assistant cashier and Hickman as an officer. Now, the police knew exactly who they were hunting: a troubled past and more evidence. The police soon discovered that William Edward Hickman had a history with Perry Parker. A year earlier, Hickman had been arrested for stealing and forging checks worth $400 from the bank where they both worked. Perry had reported him, and Hickman was convicted, but instead of going to jail, he only got probation. After his conviction, Hickman left town and spent 6 months living with his family in Kansas City, Missouri, before coming back to Los Angeles. When investigators looked deeper, they found even more damning evidence that fingerprints were all over the ransom letters. Hickman's apartment. Police then discovered that Hickman had been living in the Bellevue Arms apartments under a fake name Donald Evans. When they searched his apartment, what they found confirmed their worst fears. Bloody footprints were all over the place. Partly burned ransom letter drafts were found in the trash, and newspaper clippings about Marion's kidnapping were stacked inside. Residents of the building told police that Hickman wasn't home when they first searched the place. He had already disappeared. But a janitor remembered something chilling. On December 16th, the night before Marion's body was found, Hickman was seen carrying several packages to his car. The next day, the janitor noticed him wiping down the car seat like he was hiding something. The arrest and a twisted confession. On December 22, 1927, just after 1:30 p.m., police finally caught up with William Edward Hickman in Echo, Oregon. Chief of Police Tom Gurdane and Traffic Officer Buck Llewellyn spotted him while on patrol. A frantic 2-mile car chase followed before officers cornered and arrested him. Hickman had been on the run, but his luck had run out. Inside his green Hudson car, officers found $1,400 in cash from the ransom Perry had paid. As soon as they grabbed him, Hickman tried to deny everything, blurting out, "Some fiend killed her. I don't know who he is." But within moments, he changed his story. "I did it because I wanted the money to pay my way through college." Once locked up at the Umatilla County Jail in Pendleton, Oregon, Hickman admitted he had been part of the kidnapping. But he wasn't alone in the story. He suddenly blamed 2 men, brothers Oliver and Frank Kramer, claiming they were the ones who actually killed Marion. Hickman went into great detail when speaking to a local journalist. He claimed he had spent time with Marion, even taking her to watch a movie, Figures Don't Lie, at the Rialto Theater. He had been the one sending the telegrams and making the ransom calls, but insisted he never hurt the girl. He said the Kramer brothers were the ones who committed the murder. Police quickly shut down Hickman's story about the Kramer brothers. It turned out they had been locked up for months on other charges. There was no way they could have been involved. Investigators realized Hickman tried to frame them just because they had criminal records. But the cops weren't fooled. They confirmed that neither the Kramers nor their girlfriends had anything to do with Marion's kidnapping or murder. At first, Hickman denied killing Marion in his Bellevue Arms apartment, even though police found blood evidence there. Captain Bright of the Pendleton Police Department shut down his lies, saying, "Hickman says she wasn't killed there. We know she was. If he's lying about that, he's lying about everything else." The confession. Hickman was sent back to Los Angeles, where he was admitted to another drugstore holdup gone wrong and several armed robberies. Eventually, he realized the cops weren't buying his stories, so he gave up the truth in a written confession. He revealed that he had blindfolded and tied Marion to a chair in his apartment before strangling her unconscious. Then, he hung her upside down in his bathtub and slit her throat to drain the blood. But what he said next was even more disturbing. As he cut off her arms and legs, he claimed her body jerked so violently that it flew out of the tub, suggesting that she might have still been alive during the brutal dismemberment. Hickman wrapped Marion's limbs in newspaper and stuffed her torso into a suitcase. After that, he left to watch a movie at Lowell's State Theater, but later admitted he couldn't focus and cried the entire time. That night, knowing Marion's father might want to see her before paying the ransom, Hickman tried to make her look alive. He put makeup on her face and sewed her eyes open with wire to create the illusion. When questioned, Hickman showed no remorse. He coldly told police. She felt safe. It all happened so fast, she didn't suffer except for a little sobbing from her parents. During his trial, Hickman claimed a supernatural being named Providence told him to kill Marion. His lawyers used this as a defense, arguing he was insane. They said his religious grandfather had a strong influence on him, exposing him to intense religious rituals that messed with his mind. But prosecutors weren't buying it. Hickman had already told police he kidnapped Marion for ransom money to attend Bible college. Jail guards also testified that he asked how to act crazy to avoid punishment. A psychologist who examined him said Hickman was completely sane, spoke clearly, and showed no signs of insanity. Authorities believed Hickman's real motive was revenge against Marion's father, who had testified against him in a previous case. Some also suspected he wanted fame, as he told a reporter he hoped to get as much media attention as infamous killers Leopold and Loeb. Conviction. In February 1928, the jury didn't believe Hickman's insanity plea, and the judge sentenced him to death by hanging. He tried to appeal, but the California Supreme Court upheld his conviction. During his final months, Hickman converted to Catholicism and even wrote letters apologizing to his victims' families, but that didn't change his fate. On October 19, 1928, Hickman was hanged at San Quentin Prison. As he dropped, he hit his head and his body violently twitched. Witnesses said it took about 2 minutes for him to die. An autopsy later revealed his neck hadn't broken. He died slowly from asphyxiation. The horrifying fate of Marion Parker left an indelible mark on American history, reshaping how families and schools approached child safety. Her story serves as a chilling reminder that evil can hide in plain sight, and her tragic loss remains a stark warning to never take innocence for granted.